I'm Jesse. Here are my thoughts. So, the series finale kind of starts off how any other episode you would assume does, and we're getting ready for the one last con that we all saw in like the little sneak peek for the upcoming episode. And we know that the crew they got to figure something to get out of this Faye bullshit that's been going on, which really is kind of one of my only gripes with the series finale is that for the first half it just feels like a season finale. Because Faye, while she's been a great villain, she's never felt like a series end cap villain. Because she represents the legal system in its entirety. She represents kind of the bar, and how even going into the fact that she's had like one or two dirty dealings in her past, but for the most part she's squeaky clean. That's just trying to show off our legal system where it's like, all right, usually it tries to play by the book and it gets really mad when people don't, but only if it's people they don't like, and if it benefits them, they're cool with it. And so kind of like that, but she doesn't feel like a summation of everything that was wrong with the characters or everything that was messed up in the series. So she doesn't feel like a series villain. She really just feels like a seasonary villain. Seasonary villain. Where she's just kind of the antithesis of these characters for who they were, not necessarily who they are now, because they've changed a lot from the pilot. And I think the writer kind of messed up a little bit in recognizing that when the villain was creator. I don't know how much the creator of the series stayed on for the finale, or for the final season, I should say. Because I don't think they would have made Faye this big of a deal for the final season if they knew it was the final season. But regardless, as the series finale starts, I feel like they were just waiting to get her out of the picture. They're like, didn't have enough time last episode, gotta wrap this up. Because even the end of the last episode felt weird. It felt like we were leaving the episode in the halfway point with Harvey sliding the subpoena to Mike. Because that felt like what the mid-episode would be. That kind of, or the kind of 3/4 point in an episode would be that little reprieve of them getting together. We get like Butch and Sundance are back, like we had this great moment. But it just felt super short. It felt like they were trying to squeeze in a moment for us to be like, the gang's back together, by just having them talk about times when they were together instead of actually showing us anything. It really just kind of feels like they force Mike into these situations where he should fit naturally, but it just feels off. And maybe that's because his character is kind of at the end of his development, and they've just brought him back to help develop the other characters. But regardless, anyways, to start off the episode, they're putting together these plans. We know that Katrina's been fired, everything's kind of in shambles. But ultimately, they get their plan together, they enact it. It was really fun watching them put together the con. I like that, Harvey got hit. That just seemed fun. Because it also kind of felt like a fun callback to that season 1 blooper where Harvey, our Gabriel, the actor, kind of pulls a knock-knock joke on Rick, who plays Lewis, and ends up slapping him. So it kind of felt like finally the series closes with someone slapping Harvey. That's just a little behind-the-scenes fun, which I only learned about from watching the season 1 pilot episode table read that they did at ATX a few years back. But anyways, so they go through, they get rid of Faye, they pull off the plan, but of course we get this moment, we get the, alright, everybody leave, let me talk to Faye one-on-one, I'll get it going. And at this point you're like, alright, is this part of the plan? Or has the plan happened? Because they're talking, they're like, it was all planned and we got you, and it just felt weird. It felt like something they should have never said aloud. It didn't seem too characteristic of them. A little characteristic of Harvey to show off, but not like Alex and Samantha and all them. So they leave, and inevitably, we hear that line, like, I'll give you what you always wanted, just not in the way you wanted it. And it's like, okay, so Harvey's quitting, right? Like, obviously he's quitting. And then, we see him go back into the room, and they're like, all right, yeah, I did it. Like, how Lewis knew some bullshit, so he's like, tell me how you did it. And he's like, you'll never know. It's like, yes, we will. Don't give us this bullshit. Like, we know. But then everything starts to speed up because immediately it's like Lewis goes to see Lipschitz, which is a very touching scene. I'm very happy with how Lewis's character developed because he's easily developed the most from the entire cast. Even Mike, who supposedly was at the end of his development when he left, this is Lewis far surpassed Mike's development. And so we get kind of the closing chapter on that, and I like that ending. I really do like that ending for Lewis. He's become one of my favorite characters because he's so goofy, and he was such an asshole, but he's so lovable now, which is strange. It's very interesting to see how that happens. So he gets his final moment with Lipschitz, who's been a great character since he was introduced a few seasons ago, and that all feels right. And then we kind of immediately jump to this wedding, and it's like, all right, well, how much time has passed? Was the wedding like the next day? Did I miss a small detail in one of the episodes? Because like Mike's there, everybody's there. Does Mike just like buy bulk round trip tickets from Seattle? Like, how's he in New York all the time? And of course, Sheila's 9 months pregnant, but more importantly, Lewis at this point doesn't know that Harvey's out, that he's going to leave, which makes me wonder, how long has it been since he was supposed to go? Did Faye be like, all right, you need to leave, but it can wait until, Lewis gets married? Like, that doesn't seem very characteristic. She seems very much like the kind of person to be like, if I'm going, you're coming with me. I'm going to drag you down, very much like in the first in the pilot, when Harvey wants to kick Mike away because he doesn't want to lose his license. Mike turns the tables on him, and he's like, you kick me out, I'll drag you right down with me. And so I think Faye would exactly do that. So why does he have so much time and leniency? Which, with it being the finale, with there being as much of a farewell episode as it wants to be, there is a certain amount of leeway that we want to allow it, because we want our good feelings. I've been with these characters for a better part of a decade now. We care about them. We really want them to get their happy ending. So the details don't matter as much. It's just these are my little nitpicks. These are my thoughts. But anyway, so they go through the wedding. The wedding's beautiful. I love the Harvey Donna act where they kind of make him mad on purpose. And they get to walk down the aisle, and of course Harvey throws out the, oh, don't be thinking about us doing this again anytime soon. And it's like, motherfucker, we know you're getting married, at least at some point, if not later in the episode. So they go down, and there are some beautiful vows that am I misremembering? Yeah, come to think of it, I don't think we really did get any of the vows for Lewis and Sheila, which feels incorrect. I would have really liked to see something from them because they've been a great pairing for as long as they've been around. But no, I guess ultimately it leads itself into Lewis's final moment, or what should have been his final moment of showing his growth and change in handling situations, which is that her water breaks, and the wedding is, for a moment, ruined. They aren't going to do their vows, it's not going to be this big thing, they're not going to get the big dance, and all of it's kind of because Lewis rushed it. He wanted to push having the wedding before she gave birth, and we're kind of seeing the results of his failure for being greedy in a way, his pushiness. But instead he handles it super calmly. Sheila's freaking out, which is absolutely her right to be doing in the moment. And Lewis, he nails these, just like, it's totally fine. I've got an ambulance on standby. She's 9 months pregnant. Of course I have an ambulance on standby. Because he's always been the pragmatist. Harvey's the gambler. Lewis is the pragmatist. Mike is a book. But so he has the ambulance on standby. Of course he does. Just hand me the rings. Do you do? Of course you do. I do too. Let's bounce. And he's like, your chariot awaits. And that should have been it. Until later when we, see them like, hey, I've got a baby now. Like, that should have been it. I did really like the line when they're in the ambulance, when Sheila's freaking out, and it's like, stab a fork in your eye so I know that you're in this pain with me. And it's like, all right, that's a bit much, but and she's like, are you saying I'm crazy right now? And of course she is, but inevitably, it plays out, and then at the end she's just like, that was a really bad one, wasn't it? And it's like, she knows. She's a smart person too. She knows she was crazy. And then, everybody's chilling back at the wedding, and as they say, it kind of feels awkward, and Mike yet again feels like he's being kind of forced into a weird conversation where he comes over and it's just like he like makes a small joke and no one says shit, and then Donna tries to make a joke and no one really reacts, even though it was decent, it was pretty good. But it's just like, it feels weird, and they mentioned that it feels like people don't have anything to celebrate, which leads into one of the sweetest moments that we all knew was going to happen, which is Harvey proposes. He's like, let's get married here now. They literally pull a Princess Bride, not Princess Bride, the Princess Diaries. They pull from the Princess Diaries 2, and they're like, everyone's here for a wedding. Let's get married. And it's like, all right, I like you two enough, fair enough. Man, props to Sarah Rafferty, Sarah, Donna, and the way that her emotions come through when Harvey's proposing, because you see it, you see the slow shift from like, this is insane, what are you doing? I mean, of course I'll marry you, but like, what are you doing? And he starts hitting her with all those lies. It's like, I don't have a dress. You look beautiful. And it's like, we already know he's in a tux. We had that conversation with Lewis earlier, and it all comes together so well. Although one thing that did feel a little weird is afterwards he stands up, he's like, everyone, I have an announcement. We're going to get married. And it's like, isn't this Lewis and Sheila's wedding? How would they all know who these people are or give a shit? But again, it's the finale, emotions over logic, let's ride it out. It's very sweet. But then the biggest drawback for me in the entire episode happens when Lewis gets to the hospital, and they're, he's wheeling her down, and you can tell it's been 32 minutes, and their patients are wearing thin with one another, which feels counterproductive to the growth that they've so evidently been trying to push forward with him. And he starts yelling at the, I don't want to say receptionist, I think just nurse, but I don't know how hospitals work. So just the reception nurse lady, the person who handles incoming folks, and she's like, we don't have a room. And it's like, well, that's garbage. But this was unexpected, as births tend to be. And so he starts freaking out. And it's like, no, calm yourself down. Be like, it's okay. Like, stick with the development, Lewis. But then they hit you with that bombshell, and they're like, there's an issue. And you do get a brief moment. And props to Rick Hoffman, again, the actor who plays Lewis, where he nails that moment where he's like, I'll sign whatever, do whatever you have to do. And that's his wife and child, and he immediately gets that. And he takes on that dad role. And it's just like, yes, this is what you do. This is what Lewis can do. All the anger washes away, and he's just a loved one at that point. But it felt so weird to have this, like, are they gonna kill Sheila? Like, like everyone else starts celebrating, and Harvey's having this, and Harvey and Donna are having this great wedding, and their vows are beautiful. I really really like the lines in there where it's like, no one knows how much time they have left, whether it be a day, a year, 100 years, but however much time I have, I look forward to spending every minute of it with you, and it'll never be enough, or something along those lines. Um, and it reminded me, there's a great YouTuber, Wheezy Waiter, and there's a really beautiful video for his wedding, and in it we hear his vows, and one of the things he says is that, scientists in the future, it's like, I'll love you forever. If scientists in the future figure out a way for us to live, for 1,000 years, then it'll be 1,000 years of loving you. Which I've always thought was super sweet, and can't wait to roll that into my own shit someday. Um, but so we're getting these really sweet vows, this really great moment, but it's interlaced with just possibly the worst moment of Lewis's life, that fear that his wife and child could be dead. And there's even a scene, or there's a shot in the operating room where it looks like there's a, a dead child in the background when they move the healthy baby away. And it's like, did I miss something again? Were they supposed to have twins? Did one not make it? Because Sheila makes that comment where she's like, I think I'm having triplets. And that's really makes me wonder if, because I don't think you would jump from like, oh, I'm having a child to I'm having triplets. You would go to twins first. And if you think you're having twins, then you would go one step to triplets. So were they meant to have twins and knock it out of the park right away, have their boy girl, or whatever? I mean, I love the show, but I feel like I'm missing a detail there. Please inform me if I am. But yeah, it was such a heavy thing, and I was so terrified that I couldn't enjoy the Harvey Donna stuff as much as I really wanted to. Because of course, they come out, you're like, oh, you have a healthy baby girl, and it's like, yay, and they've got the name figured out, and it's like, all right, this is once again nice, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling that they were going to pull it out from under us, and I'm like, why would they? We're already giving so much leeway. We want these happy endings. And there's just this fear. There's this fear that we're not going to get it, and that they're going to fuck over Lewis again, and I don't want that to happen because I like Lewis. And everyone should be getting their happy ending. But, Donna and Harvey show up, and I feel like Lewis immediately should have been like, I can't believe we got fucking married, like, because they got the rings and you can see them in each shot, and like they're very shiny. But he's like, oh, I know, you guys got married, and it's like, I'm super happy for you. And I feel like he would be a little mad at missing that. But alternatively, he just found out his wife and child are dead, so he's super happy about that. But they dropped that bombshell, and they're like, we're gonna move to Seattle with Mike and Rachel. And I really do like this ultimate moment of Harvey's character growth, where he's been able to talk about his emotions and what he feels, and come to the realization that he likes gambling. And I love that in the house where he's like, I'm a gambler, I always have been. That's our very first introduction to him, and the entire series is him gambling. But it becomes that realization of, I like playing in the gray. I like these, not always couth, legal, whatever moments. But I want to do that for the good guys now. And it's like, yeah, that's where this should end up. Although, again, it makes me remember, he had this great line in, I think it was season 3, when he's talking to Scotty about the new firm mergers, where she's like, it was that English firm, and they're like, we have, hundreds of offices, or, in dozens of cities all across the world. You have one office of one city. And Harvey goes, one office, the city. And it's like, all right, fair point. But he's just gonna leave that now. Like, it seems so much of what they love is tied in New York, including now Harvey's mom's grave in upstate New York, and they're just gonna leave. which feels a little weird, and it feels worse that we never get to have that great moment of Rachel and Donna reconnecting and talking about this, because there's even a line in an earlier episode where Donna really wants to talk to Rachel about everything. Kind of setting up this moment of them going and joining them again. Which I do like. I do really like the idea that Harvey and Mike are going to be working together again, that, you know, the dynamic duo is back. But in order to get there, because of the way they sent Mike off, it feels like they have to give up everything else. And so, again, it leaves this bitter taste where Meghan Markle's departure from the show feels like it kind of ruined the solidity of it. Because if Mike had gone off, he was still in the city, or, you know, just even the state. But he was still around, just working at, you know, a nonprofit. Then that would have made everything better. It's just like, hey, I'll still be here, Lewis. I'll always be here. Which he's like, you said you would always be there. You said we would always be together, and it's like, we will, until you don't need us anymore. Bye. Like, it feels weird. So if Mike had just stayed, if he was running shit there, we would have been able to get more scenes of them being friends, not having to butt heads all the time. I understand that Patrick had to leave the show, and I think the show did a really good job keeping itself afloat without them. But now re-including them, it feels weird, because now if they had just stayed there, they could have stayed with Lewis. Everything could have been cool. Harvey could have made that transition. He still gets to keep, like, you know, his car club and everything. He loves about the city. It's like, it's the city, and, you know, his, you know, family's upstate. Like, that feels correct. But now they're gonna move across the country. Like, that seems like the right end point, but in the wrong place. So that's all just very strange. I do really like that they make Katrina a named partner. I feel like she's definitely deserved it. She's been a great character for a while coming. Although it feels a little rushed going from senior to name partner so quick, but the firm's changed name partners 1,000 fucking times, why not? Also, I know I'm backtracking a little bit, but that quick moment where it still feels a little forced, and it felt like Patrick hated delivering the line for Mike, but when Harvey and Donna agreed to get married, he's like, I'd love to officiate, but I'm not licensed, and I don't think we want to go through that again. Really, really funny line. A little forced, but still loved it. But yeah, so they all agree, and he's like, this was, you know, what I told Faye, and it's like, I knew we'd find out. Couldn't fool me, suits. Guys in suits filing lawsuits. But yeah. It was nice, but it feels a little weird. And so everyone starts packing up, and then it's like Mike flies back again to do the whole interview thing. It's like, just say he's there, man. Like, doesn't he have a fucking wife too? Like, he literally flew, like, I don't know how long the flight is, but I'm guessing it's like a 6-hour fucking flight. Just to do like a 2-minute bit with Harvey? It doesn't make any sense. That being said, I love the bit. I'm a sucker for anything where it's like the finale of a show and it does all these callbacks to earlier. One of the ones that probably got me the most, and spoilers for New Girl if you never saw New Girl, which I also haven't watched the final season, don't fuck me up here. I'm kind of putting it off because it's one of those things where it's like, if I don't watch it, it hasn't ended. But in, I think it's the season 5 finale, or whatever season it is, where Schmidt and Cece are finally getting married, and everything goes wrong, and then at the end when he finally gets home and everyone's there and they need glass to break, and they break the douchebag jar, and it so felt like an earned, honest moment of like leaving the past behind him, and like he really has grown. And that was, I cried a lot when I watched it. I was so happy. But so that's one of the best examples I've seen of something from early in a show being brought back, and I'm a sucker for that, and they do it here. only the roles are reversed, and it's great. It's a reminder of what we always loved about the show. And part of me, when Donna comes in for her final chat with him, and he's like, "I need a little more time," part of me really wanted her to go and sit again at her old desk as his secretary. But again, part of that would kind of feel like regression for her character, where it's like she's not a secretary anymore; that's his wife. Um, and like, but then I was like, all right, well, what if they do it where it's like, you want to be my secretary again? And but then I was like, nah, all the weird sex stuff is Lewis's thing. So it's like, all right. But it feels weird. Like that's just like she just leaves. Mike just gets like a fist bump. He just leaves. Um, like I don't know. I was expecting a little more in kind of like the final moments for each character for the final shots. Almost like a John Hughes '80s where it's like freeze frame and it's like Lewis would later go on to have 1,000 children, or some shit like that. But that's too corny. It's too over the top. But I don't know. I wanted a little more, just just a little more from each character, and I felt like Harvey got it. And he isn't of course has been the main character for a while now. And he gets that moment. He looks up. He looks up at that you know picture of him watching his mom paint. Uh, which bravo to Donna for getting the original back, but he looks up at it and he's just like, and then you get the flashback. He has that moment. You get all these flashbacks and it takes you through the journey of Suits, and it's just like, man, I fucking love this show. And I really care about these characters, and I wished everyone had gotten one of those. Everyone got like a relevant kind of flashback, or even a relevant reminisce that they had tried to do a little bit here and there. Like really, it felt like all the face stuff needed to have been like the first like 20-30 minutes of the episode needed to be put in the last episode, or so crammed around somewhere else somehow. And then this should have been like an hour and a half, 2 hours of just a finale, just a farewell. Like it felt the whole season has felt like they've been crammed for time. And that's really the biggest detriment for it to me. But of course, I don't know. I at first when they started up the final song, it was like Coldplay. I was like, not that I like hate Coldplay, but I was like fucking Coldplay, or like like a show that has like the Green Bad Bouquet like is its opening opening song. This kind of had this kind of like suave, cool, underground. I don't know fucking words. But just like this, like kind of off the beaten path, like, especially being in New York, the show has kind of always reminded me of the feel where it's like someone's like, yeah, I know, this little like hole in the wall. We can just go over that. I know my place around. I know things other people don't know. I'm not just popular culture. Um, kind of like one of those kind of folks. And then you get like Coldplay to end it out, but the lyrics matched up well. It's like When I Ruled the World and everything. And that felt pretty satisfying watching him kind of play with the basketballs that have been such a staple to his office and his character and his look for 8 years now, 8 9 8. He has another drink. It's like all the late night drinks that they've had in the office, and he just walks down. It felt a little weird. Again, another one of those things kind of in the background that seemed out of place. Was it looked like there was someone just working in the office next to his. That like the motion in the background just kind of took away from that last shot for me a little bit. I wish he would have lingered at like Donna's old desk for a split second. Maybe had a few flashbacks of that there. Felt like that's where the Donna stuff, like in his flashbacks, should have ended, because the last scene we get of the flashbacks is him and Donna like making out in her entranceway, not them getting married, which felt odd. But anyway, so I felt like he should have had that there, and he just walks off. And then it's like in dedication to the Suits family, and it's like I just wish that the final shot was something a little more memorable. Like I don't know, maybe a group shot or something. Um, Maybe something with Harvey and Mike or whatnot. Like, I really liked earlier in the episode when Lewis was like, we're all here that's left of Pierce and Hardin. When it was him, Donna, and Harvey, and I was like, I want something like that for like the final shot. And I just don't think that it got it. Like, whenever I see a series finale now, I always think of how is this going to be received? How is this going to be looked at? Because we think of, great series finales like Breaking Bad, which even now we're going to get the movie, so we don't, we hope that it doesn't ruin the previous really good ending. But then you also think of bad endings, where like the end of Game of Thrones or How I Met Your Mother. But even them, more so How I Met Your Mother than Game of Thrones, still has great last shots. Which when the How I Met Your Mother finale aired, that was my favorite show for a long time. I really loved it. I was watching with a friend, and I told her, I was like, I really wish that, and I went to film school, by the way. That was, so this is kind of the shit that I learned to pay attention to. I was just like, when they were on the train, they were doing the meeting, when he met the mother, I'm cool with her dying and all that. Like, I'm fine with a sad ending. I feel like that justifies why he's telling the story to his kids. But when they're on that platform, it was such a beautiful scene. They fucking nailed it. Like, they built to like that scene for 9 years, and they better nail it. And then they fucking knocked it out of the park. It was so good. I'm like, just keep backing away, just fucking fade out. Maybe some That's How I Met Your Mother. End it. That would have been good, and that's exactly what they did in the re-release. But even in the original, we get that last shot, him holding the blue French horn up to Robin's window. And if you don't watch How I Met Your Mother, I'm sorry, but like, that's the fucking shot. And like, even though that ending was bad, that shot is memorable. It stays, and you feel something about it. And even I remember the song in the background. It's like, remember, remember. And it's just like, that's an ending. And while this felt kind of like an ending, there wasn't something that was like the stamp, like, it's done. And not even in the sense where it's like, these characters will continue to live and have lives, and no one's ever really gone forever. It just felt like they didn't know where to leave it. Because like they ended Mike's journey at a wedding, so it felt like they should have ended Harvey's journey at a wedding, and everyone's together. Like, somewhere in there, I feel like there is the right ending. But having him just walk down a hallway, is this what we're gonna remember? I don't know. Like, maybe if they pulled a Scrubs, which again, another phenomenal ending, probably one of the most perfect endings I've ever seen, to the last season 8, all 8 seasons of Scrubs. But that perfect ending of JD walking down the hallway, and he sees all these people, and he sees his future laid out in front of him in a dream state. And I'm not saying Suits should have done that, but there definitely should have been one last walk around the office, and with each major thing, we get these flashbacks to things that have occurred. Maybe not necessarily like Harvey and Mike both taking a stroll, but maybe just Harvey. Like, we saw him look into the mailroom where we know he started, but something a little more. He looks around his room. He remembers some of the arguments they've had. He remembers, walking Mike through on his first day. He sees Donna's desk. He gets, all these flashbacks of like, today's the best day of your life. It's the day you get to meet Donna. All the way up to these beautiful vows that they have. And then, he goes to the bullpen. Maybe we get like a flashback to him and Lewis's first days, or, something like that. Of course, he has to see Jessica. He passes Jessica's old office. And just these fucking callbacks. Like, just give us a tour of the sets. Let's relive this. And then, we can kind of have this final shot of him walking past the nameplates, and his isn't there anymore. Like, we get kind of, even in the opening shot, they do it now. or the intro, where it shows all the names that the firm has been called. Just give us one last one of those, but in real time. It'd have to be tricky editing, just having him walk to like the elevators, and then we see everything kind of changing, and ultimately he looks back up at it, and his name isn't there anymore, and he walks away. And I think that would have, or even like maybe like that, and then have him walking into the firm, the new firm with Mike, and seeing him set up there, and then I don't know if that firm would have names, have his fucking name up there, where it's like Spectre Ross or something like that. Like that would have been, that would be the shit, man. I would have loved that so much. But yeah, I don't know. It was a bittersweet ending. All endings are. I just feel like they should have, I don't know, repace the season a little bit, have the face stuff wrap up sooner, give us a few more callbacks. I would have loved if they even just used old footage of Rachel. Give us some of the feeling that she's still alive. Also, since this is just kind of one of my only videos on Suits that I'll get to do probably, man, was that a great line in episode 5 of the season when Mike first came back, where he's like, man, Rachel's doing so good. You wouldn't believe me if I told you how good she's doing. And it's like, that's really good. But still, I would have loved just a little something, just a little, hey, this is, let's see, I don't know, her house or some shit. I didn't like Lewis trying to call Samantha his Harvey. I didn't like Samantha at first. She really grew on me. I felt like she fit in. I thought Katherine Heigl did a good job merging herself into the nature of the show. Of course, I love Dule Hill. He was an addition a few seasons ago. But yeah, it felt so strange. Because it felt like the people who we stayed with, at least one of the major people, Rachel, that we stayed with that made the show, we never got anything with her for her. I don't think we even got a line that was like, man, Rachel's so excited to have Donna there, or something like that. Or again, with Mike taking all these random fucking 6-hour one-way flights, why didn't we get a line where Harvey's like, don't you have a wife to get home to? Don't you? Just something a little like that. But yeah, wrap up all the face stuff a little sooner. Give me that flashback walk. I want that flashback walk. Give me just a little more banter. I mean, I love the show. I just didn't want it to go real, I guess is it. I didn't want to release the grip. Let Harvey walk down that hallway. But yeah, ultimately, I think where the characters end up is where they should be. I just don't think that Harvey and Donna and Mike and Rachel, for that matter, should have been so far away. Yeah. I love Suits. I'll always love Suits. It's been one of my all-time favorite shows since it aired. All those years ago, I used to really associate myself with Mike. A lot less so now. I feel like we've swapped, where at the time I was like smart and in school and known for being kind of smart and a little funny. And now I'm the like unemployed shitty person and he's phenomenal. But yeah, I've loved the show for so long. It's weird that it's ending. It's great that it went on for as long as it did. I'm sad that it kind of got the axe only a season after Mike and Rachel left, because I felt like it was really finding its feet even without them, which I was very worried about. But ultimately, we got what we want. Lewis is married. He has his child. He's happy. He's better. He's not perfect, but he's better. Katrina, has been rewarded for her hard efforts. I wish we got a little more resolution of like her and what's his face, that Brian. Well, we'll say Brian. I wish we got a little more from that storyline wrap up, but I think the whole point was she moved on. Samantha comes back. She finally has a family. I was hoping they would put Zane's name back up. I thought that's one of the things she wanted to do with the change to the names. Um, I'm fine that they didn't, but I thought they would. Um, which even if it wouldn't be a representation of, again, another connection to Rachel Zane. Um, yeah, Alex was cool. I don't feel like we got enough about him to be like, yeah, he ended in a good spot. Um, but the major ones, Lewis, Donna, Harvey, Mike, it feels like they kind of all end where they should be. Lewis always wanted to be the head of a firm, and he is. His name is first now. Because I mean, even as soon as Lewis became a named partner, there was even that joke where they were like, "All right, we'll go." We'll say like Pearson, Spectre, but and I think the joke was with Zane when they brought him on, where it was like it'll be like Zane, Spectre, and they are Spectre Zane, and they're like, "But we're both in agreement. Lewis goes last," and it's like now Lewis is first. Now he's the fucking guy, and we've seen him be a great lawyer. We've seen him be a great guy. He gets that character development. I love where he ends. I just wish I didn't have the terror along the way of would it all be taken from him. Um, but everyone else just a little up in the air, just a little bit. Um, I would love if we ever got more of a resolution with them. Just I don't know, a little behind the scenes. Maybe we get a little web exclusive of like Harvey's first day. Um, but yeah, that was Suits. These are my thoughts on the Suits finale. Feel free to comment below if you sat through this entire fucking thing. Or even if you jumped around, even if you just wanted to see if maybe halfway through I combusted into flames. Maybe one day. But yeah, I love Suits. I'll miss Suits. Thank you to everyone who's worked on the show. Thanks to all the actors for their wonderful portrayals. Thanks for all the phenomenal writing. Thank you, Aaron Kosh, for the great series. And we'll always remember it. So yeah, those are my thoughts.